What's up, everybody? I just wanted to come on here today and share an inspiring story with you all in hopes to spark a flame of motivation in your hearts and to ignite some internal fires out there. So here's my transformation story. If you've always wanted to know more about me or know the obstacles I've overcame to get to where I am today, then you'll want to hear this. So my story starts off way back to when I was just a little kid. Me and my mom, we moved around a lot. I attended several different schools, and this made it really hard to feel any kind of sense of worth and belonging. I got bullied a lot for my size and my lack of athleticism. Like, I was this chubby little kid and sucked at pretty much every sport I tried. And my best friend was the computer, so it's pretty much a complete loser. I grew up in Nanaimo, and I moved back to Edmonton when I was 11, but after leaving all the familiarity and the few friends that I had back in Nanaimo, I'm sure some of you can relate to just how terrifying that could really be. Like, back in Nanaimo, I couldn't stop playing over all the verbal and the physical bullying that happened to me back in Nanaimo. Like, I got rocks thrown at me, kids called me stupid and fat and ugly, teachers called me stupid. Like, everyone made fun of me when they found out that I liked a girl. It was a rough time, but after I arrived in Edmonton, I turned 12, but this is really when my depression and anxiety started to show. After all the trauma from my experiences back in Nanaimo, it left me very introverted and very fearful and doubtful and shy in my new environment. But I had horrible social anxiety, and I spent most of my days alone as a loner, just wondering who I was and if I would ever make any friends, if I would ever fit in. And at this point, I was starting to wonder if I should even be alive. But during this time, I started to go to the gym and study nutrition, and I set a few goals for myself. I really, really wanted to become more muscular and athletic, but honestly, the reason behind that was because I thought that if I did that, then people would like me and respect me, and maybe I would finally fit in and make a few friends. Maybe I would even get a girlfriend, but that wasn't the case. And after a few more letdowns and heartbreaks over the years, I started to get suicidal at this point. Suicidal thoughts entered my head every single day, multiple times a day. And I had a horrible habit of negative self-talk and just like beating myself up and talking myself down and stuff. I was carrying around a lot of shame and guilt and unresolved trauma. So yeah, and like, honestly, I was my own worst enemy at this point. And I was literally trying to convince myself that the world would be a better place without me. And I was trying to figure out a way to end my life. And I didn't share this with anyone because I already felt like such a burden, and I didn't want to burden anyone else. But honestly, I thought that no one would even care. And so, but this is the weird part of the story, because this is where I actually started to get obsessed with the gym and my diet and everything else to come along with that. Like, I was skinny fat, but I grew up getting called fat and stupid, so that's what I believed. And this really made me struggle with my body image, and I had very, very low self-esteem. Even though people were hyping me up, I didn't believe them, right? And like I mentioned before, I thought that if I got more muscular and athletic, then those people's opinions would change and I would be liked. But that's the thought and the vision that literally kept me alive. Like, every day I went to the gym and followed my plan was a step closer to that vision, thus being another day I should live. And this was my mindset for the majority of my teens. I spent that time with my head down, grinding, playing multiple sports, working out 6 days a week, obsessing over my nutrition. But no matter how ripped I got and the results that I saw, when I looked in the mirror, I still saw the fat, insecure, sad little child that I was conditioned to see from my past. So no matter what I saw in the mirror, I always felt like I was never good enough. So fast forward about 5 years, following a devastating breakup, I gained about 40 pounds of body fat, and it was physically showing on my body and my face and like even my eyes. Like those weren't the eyes that I knew looking back at me. And one day I really looked at myself in the mirror after stuffing my face with McDonald's, which was a regular occurrence back then, and I realized that I had lost complete control of my life. And I broke down and I started crying, and I felt very lost and depressed and insecure and unhappy. I felt very alone and pretty unlovable at that point. That was rock bottom for me. But enough was enough though. I told myself, like, something needs to change. I need to change. If I'm going to become someone that I'm truly proud of and truly become happy, then I need to start treating myself like I actually deserve that. So I decided I'm going to make a permanent change here. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to become that person. So I got my ass back in the gym. I cleaned up my diet. I hired a mentor to help me with my mindset, which was obviously very poor back then, and to keep me accountable. And having that mentor was a huge game changer because he made me realize that this is much more than just a physical journey. And he didn't let me bullshit myself, and he kept me accountable. He kept me in line. So after about 6 months, I lost all the body fat that I ended up putting on. I was back to my ideal body with a couple more pounds of muscle this time. And I started getting positive compliments from friends and people at the gym. And I had way more energy and focus to put into the things that were most important to me in my life at that point. Like, I thought better, I slept better, and I was happier. I carried myself with a whole new sense of pride. I felt more productive, I felt empowered, and for once I felt like a fucking winner. And now that I was happy with what I saw in the mirror, I felt confident, and I felt like I could do anything. I felt like a brand new man. And through the mindset work I did, I discovered my worth and abolished all inklings of suicidal thoughts or any kind of negative self-talk and stuff like that. And I saw myself in the world through a whole new lens of love and gratitude. And that's when everything changed for me. Like, that's when I felt the most joy than I've ever felt in my life before. Now when I look in the mirror, I see a loving friend who cares, not a poisonous, destructive enemy. And I feel a strong sense of appreciation and love for the person looking back at me. And if I never had that realization and made the commitment to change my life once and for all, then I probably wouldn't be standing here or sitting here speaking to you guys today. I kicked fear right in the fucking face. I committed to making a change, and through that, I discovered one of the greatest gifts that I have to offer to this world. It was the best and the most powerful decision that I've ever made. So thank you so much for listening, guys. If this inspired you in any way, then do this right now. Just tag 3 friends below that you love and who need to hear this. Maybe even give it a share on your page too. It would mean the world to me if we could fill more people's feeds with stories of inspiration and hope, such as this one. You know, like, just by one person hearing the story, maybe they'll be inspired to change their life too. So thank you so much for listening. Coach Alex,